Well, hello, Maverick Traders. Welcome to the Market Roundup. It is July 8th, 2019. Let's get into it. And today was definitely a down day. We saw the Dow Jones open down about this amount. It opened down about 120 points and ended up closing right around that level. The S&P opened down about 0.5%, closed right there. And the NASDAQ, it actually slipped a little bit further after the open, but for the most part things gapped down and they stayed down, and it was a pretty flat day overall. And so as you can see here, we just reached this new swing high, and we know that when we reach a swing high we're likely going to get a little bit of a pullback. So sure enough, we've now have 2 days of a pullback. So we would expect there to be a pullback to maybe the 2960 area. As you can see, that's only about 15 points away. That is basically 0.5% to this point. So we are expecting, again, if we get any more weakness, a very weak pullback, and then likely going to see some reversal candles somewhere maybe tomorrow, maybe on Wednesday, before this market should head back up to the upside. Again, that's what the market's telling us. That's what the trend is telling us. We're going to stick with the trend until it tells us that it's no longer in an uptrend. So best sector day was utilities. We would expect that in a down day. Materials held in pretty well. Oil was a little bit volatile today. It was up in the morning and then it turned down and had a big sell-off in the middle of the day and actually ended down about 1/3%. So today we had, for every one stock that went up, we had 2 that was declining. We had a little bit of news on Apple. Apple got a downgrade today, so Apple closed down 2%. Worst sectors, industrials and healthcare, but again, not all that great. Down 0.8%. So for me, I'm looking at this saying, okay, well, we just reached a new swing high. We now are losing a little bit of momentum. We're likely to have a pretty mild pullback here. And you can see your Apple stands out, down 2%. You could also say that GE down 3%. But for the most part, you can see that there was more red than there was green. But to me, this was a day where, again, it's just a day after a 7-day rally, we're getting a little bit of a pullback. Now, when I took a look at the trader trades on the Maverick forum, and then I took a look at some of the trades I was looking at, I was actually surprised with how many good bearish setups I was able to find. And, we've seen the markets be very strong. We looked through the sectors yesterday in the trading room, and pretty much all sectors except for energy have been going higher. And a lot of times when you have that environment, it's very difficult to find good bearish trades. And that's why I was surprised, because I found a ton of really good bearish trades. Let's go through some of the bulls first. We got a really nice bull pullback on Twilio here. So as you can see, this Twilio, it's been basically hugging this 50-period moving average. We pull back to it. We spent about 2 weeks here building this base, and then today was a nice breakout. So to me, this one's likely to head up to the 150. I don't think it's likely to break out above 150 until we get the market breaking out to new highs. But as you can see here, we've got about 5 points of upside here before we run into some resistance. So Twilio to me looks like a good one. I know I saw that on a couple of traders' lists. This is one that I was watching for. This is a gold trade. This is AngloGold Ashanti. We have had a base here from 17 to 18 for a couple weeks here. Today we got a nice breakout to the upside, and this happened on a day when gold actually closed down. Gold closed down about 0.2%, and when the commodity closes down and the stock closes up, it's telling you that this thing wants to go up. It definitely wants to move higher. So I think a target of 19 is very reasonable here. 18 to 19. So again, any sort of spread between 18 and 19. You could sell the butterfly at 19 if you wanted to. There's a lot of things you could take a look at doing. But this is a nice high base breakout off of a big run here it's had from 11 all the way up to 17. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of good looking bears here. And this is one that I've been playing over the last couple months. This is Weibo. This is a Chinese internet company, and you can see it just cannot get out of this low base. And here we have another run up to the top. We got slammed here at the 1st of July, and now we're starting to head back down to the bottom. Now, I have no idea if this is going to break the support at 41 this time. It might bounce again, it might go back up. We might be in this pattern for a while. What I do know is that stocks like this really tend to break down at some point in the future. So here's one. I think right now at 42.50, it looks intriguing. I think that really good support is at 41. So for me, I'm looking at something at doing some maybe like the weekly diagonal put spread. And then it's going to give me the ability to take a look at it on Friday and see, okay, do I want to hold those puts? Does it look like it's breaking down below that 40? So maybe something like a 45-40 diagonal put spread, or maybe like a 44-41 diagonal put spread, something like that. So very, very weak stock. This stock has really had no bounce whatsoever, even though the market has been pretty strong over the last 2 weeks. And then we'll take a look at Goodyear Tire, GT. So look at this sell-off. I mean, this is just a nasty sell-off from 20. I mean, almost every single day it went down. And at some point, it just got sold out. It got oversold. So we got short covering rally. It ran it back up. People were exhausted. It just sat there and it tried to give a little bit of a run. And look what happened. The second it had a run, we get a really nasty candle. It gaps up, and then anyone who was a buyer back in here, they were thinking they're lucky stars because they're likely the ones that turned into sellers over here. You know, as they bought in at 15 and 16, the thing got down to 13. When it finally bounced back up there, people hit it pretty hard, and there was really no follow-through in buyers after that. So today's candle, to me, we're taking it below this support here right around 1480. So to me, this one looks very likely to go back down and go retest about 1330 here on the chart. That's a big move here, $1.40. We're taking a look at about 11% move on Goodyear Tire. Again, this stock is in long-term secular decline. This is what I call the March of Death. And whenever you see these in the March of Death, whenever they bounce, you want to take a short on them. You know, we saw this on stocks like Gap. You know, Gap had a big bounce all the way up to 30. It's all the way back down to 18. We saw stocks like Bed Bath & Beyond had a big bounce all the way up to 19, and it's all the way back down to 12. So whenever these things do have a bounce, these are usually good shorts to take. So like I said, lots of good-looking shorts out there, but I think overall you still want to be more leaning on the buy side. So all I see is a mild pullback happening, nothing to be really too worried about. I think you're going to get a reversal candle likely this week, maybe tomorrow, maybe on Wednesday, and then I think the market is likely to head up and make another run at new highs. Economic news tomorrow, all we have is really job openings. We do have some Federal Open Market Committee members giving some speeches. Chairman Powell is speaking on Wednesday. And we do have some decent earnings reports after the bell tomorrow. We have Pepsi and Levi. Will be Levi's second earnings report as a public company again. So just keep an eye on those. But that really wraps it up. Market roundup, as I said, all I see is a really mild pullback at the moment happening. We'll let this flush out. And I know I'm looking to take a little bit more bulls when we start to get a turn in the market. All right, thanks for joining, everyone. Happy trading.